Good morning, everybody. Okay, so I wanted to share with you guys today's episode of Growth Day. It is all about discipline, and it's a little bit of a longer episode, so I didn't want to just film it on my phone. So here we go. I'm going to press play, and I hope that you enjoy and get something out of it like I did. All right. I hope I did this right. Hold on. User error, guys. Okay.
Happy Thursday, Striver. It's Brendan Burchard, founder of Growth Day, and today's Daily Fire is on a big topic and a big request that I get all the time for these Daily Fires. Brendan, can you talk about discipline? Why do I struggle so much to be more disciplined at work, to be disciplined and get things done, to be disciplined to stay on my health journey? Why am I so struggling with just, feeling like doing it and doing it even when it's difficult, to push myself in when the energy, the enthusiasm, the motivation doesn't seem to be there? How do I stay more disciplined to the practices that will improve my life? I love this topic, but I think that behind the question lies a much more profound answer than most people think. I think there's something deeper than discipline. What could it be? What do you think it is? When you've lacked discipline in the past, why do you think you lacked that discipline? I'm just curious as you're thinking about it, because, hey, here in Growth Day, our job is really to open up the gate to self-awareness and self-mastery. It's always self-awareness first. So as you think about this topic, what's happened for you? When you think of last New Year's as an example, did you stay as disciplined toward your goals as you wished you did, as you maybe even needed to? It's an interesting question. Why don't people stay more disciplined? What do you think it is? If you had to coach yourself on the last time you lacked discipline, what would you share with yourself? I love that question. I'm always taking the role as an external coach. I would say, well, Brendan, if you were your own high performance coach, what would you tell yourself now? And every time it's a rather straight truth. But in this case, sometimes people aren't sure. I mean, it feels so frustrating not to be as disciplined as we know we could be. And then we start blaming ourselves. Well, I'm just not good enough. I'm lazy. I, have all these other reasons that I'm just not good enough to stay to my goals. And often I say, well, you're on the right track. Not that you're not good enough, but that inquiry that says, I am, that's a right path to follow a little bit. Because you know what is deeper than discipline? Identity. The question of who I am, who am I, is the basis of whether or not I believe I am a person who is disciplined. I know this might sound a little bit strange to say, but your identity, who you think you are, how you perceive yourself, really sets up whether or not you're going to be disciplined. That's the power of this month. That's the power of how we learn together in Growth Day. We've had so many incredible teachers take on this topic of self-esteem and how our self-identity, self-concept, or self-confidence shapes our lives. You got to hear, a 2-hour seminar from me on it. You got to hear Ed Milet talk about this, and Lori Harder, and Trent Shelton. Whew, what an incredible theme. I love the themes that we take on in Growth Day. But you'll heard every single one of them at some point touch on this topic of how identity really does shape our thoughts, our feelings, our reactions, our behaviors, our ambitions, and even our ceilings in life. If you're struggling with discipline, please ask first, how have I been perceiving and valuing myself. Who do I want to be in the future? How does the future me actually act? Am I a person worthy of the rewards of discipline? I remember working with a person who was on a long health journey. She was trying to get healthy. And as you know, we talk a lot about this topic in high performance. In fact, it's the second key high performance habit, which is generate energy. And so you have to learn to care for your health in order to generate the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual energy necessary to succeed over the long term. And her and I were talking about the struggle she was having, just being disciplined in her own workouts. Just a simple topic, right? But the true issue is she couldn't see herself as somebody who was fit and taking care of herself because her image of herself was so, in her words, beaten and tattered and sad. That's how she thought of herself, which was wild because in every other measure, people liked her. She had a good family. She had a good job. She had a lot of reasons to see herself in a positive light, but she just carried old stories, old judgments, old labels, and she was living through those old feelings and perceptions versus asking, who am I now? And so she didn't think she deserved to be an attractive, fit, healthy person. These were her words, not mine. And so if she didn't think that she deserved it and she couldn't see herself as it, why would she be consistent at a workout? Because why be consistent and disciplined to do something, especially discipline usually requiring us to do something we don't feel like doing in the moment, but we set it up as a routine or a habit or a must for ourselves? Why would she do that? Because the outcome would forge a woman that she could not even imagine herself as, that she saw or sensed was a separate entity than who she really was at her core. And again, at her core, there's no question, she devalued herself. So why don't I work out? The real question is, who am I? And do I deserve to have the benefits of working out? It's a tricky one, isn't it? This is why a lot of people, when they say, Brendan, I just lack self-discipline, I go, no, you probably have some old stories and old labels. And if you don't work with a coach or you're not doing a lot of personal development, make sure at least you take advantage of getting a therapist to see where that's coming from and identify that. Because sometimes if you don't uncover the old stuff, it's hard to practice the new habits today. I think it's important to spend a few moments every day really thinking about, who do I want to be today? Who am I? Am I a person who works out? Yes or no? Am I a person who eats healthy most of the time? Yes or no? Am I a person who goes to work on time? Yes or no? Am I a person who's productive? Yes or no? Am I a person of courage? Yes or no? Am I a person who cares about other people? Yes or no? Am I a person who deserves dignity and trust? Yes or no? Am I a person? At some point, we claim it. We claim it. I'm a person who deserves good things in life, and I'm a person who will do the hard things of life to receive the good things. And it's a decision, it's a proclamation, and it is a destiny changer. You shift your perception of yourself in such a way that you're just a person who does those things. That's it. They found this, of course, in lots of different research, and one of my favorites is the story of how they help people quit smoking. At some point, someone just says, no matter how much pain they have to go through, how many different treatments, at some point someone says, I'm just not a smoker anymore. I don't smoke. And that decision changes everything. They can try all the little hacks and biohacks and Nicorettes and all the other things, but at some point they go, I just don't smoke. I saw my dad make that decision One day when we were awfully young, I remember sitting uh, next to my dad at a fireplace in one of our houses back in the day. And it wasn't a decorative fireplace, it was literally the stove that kept the house warm. And in that house, it was always falling apart, and all the stress my dad was under, and having returned from Vietnam and having just a lot of difficulty in his life, he'd picked up smoking, and he'd smoke cigarettes and smoke a pipe. And I remember one time, my sister was like jumped up into his lap and was sitting with him by the fireplace, and she said, "This is just disgusting." And she grabbed the pack of cigarettes and threw it in the fire. And just the way that she said it or looked at him, he just goes, "I don't do that anymore." And somehow he quit cold turkey. Now, this is not a judgment against anybody else who can't quit, because that's an addiction and it's incredibly hard. And most people need a lot of help. My dad just decided, and I don't know if that makes him superhuman or that was just an incredible thing he did, but I know it's because he said, "I don't smoke." And I want to move this to another element of identity that's so important, which is, how do I want to serve as an example to other people? That's a part of why we are disciplined people, because we want to be a role model to somebody. I'm disciplined at health because I want to show people that it's possible. I think of my wife, who owned exercise studios at some point. She is an example of that, and was an example of that when she owned those studios. She knew that she stayed disciplined at her own health routines because she was a role model to others. I always say, if you want to be disciplined at something, put yourself in a position of responsibility or role modeling with other people. Because when people have to look up to you, you determine that you are someone who's going to work hard and do hard things, because you want the benefit of others seeing an example, sometimes that you didn't even have yourself. I think it's so important. In no way in my life or my career would I say, "Gosh, I'm going to create content every single day of my life to make that decision just because it was my personal desires." It was because when I was coming up in the industry, there weren't content creators. We didn't call ourselves creators or influencers or even thought leaders back then. We were all just random authors, random speakers, random teachers or trainers, random online teachers. The online world was just developing, and I wanted to show people that this was going to be an important part of life. So I started posting 4 times a day just to show the industry. And the discipline that I did that with for over a decade, 4 posts a day that I personally made for a decade, was primarily because I wanted people to see it as an example. There were plenty of days like, "Oh, I don't feel like it today. I don't want to do this discipline." But I thought, you know what? So many people write me and say, "I started my career because of you." I thought, yeah, if I just do this one more post today, if I stick to the discipline, that might be that piece or that content that reaches somebody that says, maybe I should give it a try. Who do you serve? The bigger aspiration you have to serve as an example, a positive example for others, I promise the less you struggle with discipline. I think it's important too to ask the bigger question of life sometimes, even outside of yourself, identity, even outside of others, service, but ask about the big stuff. What destiny do I want? See, all of your disciplines in life are setting up a cause and effect motion. That what we do stay disciplined today leads to one type of destiny, and what we don't stay disciplined today leads to another type of destiny. Not to be, overly Buddhist here, but cause and effect and determinism are real things that we can shift and change our fate, that we can make sure that our actions are impacting our future outcomes. And certainly outside the spiritual realm, science continues to prove that over and over and over. People who have good practices live longer. and significantly so. People who choose a certain type of lifestyle, they walk, they sleep better, they eat better, they take care of themselves in a more disciplined way, they often get decades more of life. Sometimes some people say, no, Brendan, I know that one guy. He does smoke cigars. He never works out. That guy's 90 years old. I can't believe it. I'm like, yeah, there's always outliers, but outliers aren't a lot that you want to bet on. I always say, if you want to live a long life, don't try to be the outlier at it. Try to figure out what most people are doing who are living long, healthy lives, and you'll see lives of simple and often humble disciplines that they just stuck to. They had good relationships. They slept. They moved. They didn't overeat. They were thoughtful about how they lived their life and treated other people. They didn't take too many risks, but they took a few. And what's interesting is that they all knew in some way that their daily choices were going to lead to perhaps a long and fulfilling life. What destiny do you want? You really want to dig down? If you struggle to have discipline, you might just lack the clarity about the future that you want. I always tell people, no destiny thinking, no surprise when discipline is lacking. Who do you allow into your life that lowers your standards? I love that question. Often, people don't lack discipline. It's that they lack the social environment that would enforce good disciplines. They want to work out and be healthy, but they've chosen to surround themselves with everybody who is anything but. They want to be positive and optimistic people, but they continue to surround themselves with negative, upset, mean, pessimistic people. They say, I want to be optimistic and happy, Brendan. But then I meet their friends. And I think it's important to say, hey, your social circle sets your standards. Your social circle sets your standards. And the more that you find your standards slipping, I promise the expectations of those around you are also slipping. And it's like, how do you stay high performing for, 17 years full time, Brendan? How? I'm like, the people I'm around, the people I stay with, that's their expectation of me. They lift me to a high bar. And the days that I don't meet that bar, I don't shame myself. I give myself grace. But it's okay to have days you don't meet that high bar. But if that becomes weeks and months, that's a different kind of choice, isn't it? See, no one has to be perfect. No one has to measure up to every standard every minute and every hour and every day. But let's not fool ourselves. We are practicing patterns. And week after week and month after month and year after year, a lot of things are very clear choices and standards. And so I always ask, if you don't feel like you're being disciplined enough in a certain way, is there someone you can surround yourself with or hire or be a, club member with or partner with, hang out with, run with, jog with, cook with, eat with, who is a little more disciplined than you? Because they'll lift you up. My life is a result of that. I've always sought out people who were honestly a lot smarter and more energized, more thoughtful, better read, more educated, just people who, in some way I thought was impressive. And maybe I lacked in that area. I thought that they could be a good role model for me to better myself. Not because I dislike myself. I just feel like we're on a path of self-mastery. And the earlier you accept that in your life, the earlier you go, hey, I can grow more conscious and competent and connected. And by doing those things, I can be happier and higher earning and be a better leader to other people. That's a great thing. But often we have to have the humility to announce and to proclaim that we can't do it ourselves. We need other inspiring people. We can't do it ourselves. Sometimes we got to stand and walk in faith and believe that there's something higher as an example for us. We can't do it ourselves. We will have those days and those weeks where we're down, and other people can really be a big part of that journey. It's why I really do love bringing Growth Day members together every month. We have this event now we do in Los Angeles every single month. It's on the first calendar day of every month. And y'all can come out. Y'all get 1 or 2 tickets, depending on your membership plan. You get 1 or 2 tickets to come out to one event for free every year. Because I just feel like getting around other strivers, other people positive, other people who are into personal development and success and leadership, it's like, wow, it's like a spark. It's incredible. Thinking about you and thinking about being around you, being around people like us, being around Growth Day people, that motivates me to do these recordings way late at night so that when you wake up, they're ready for you. By thinking about you, I stay disciplined at doing one of the hardest things I've ever done. New content every single day in these daily fires. This is hard, but it's not hard when the standards and the expectations of the audience are there. I want to rise up to that. Last big idea when we're thinking about discipline and our identity and how it relates is, I think it's really important to ask a simple question of, what do I dislike about my life? What do I dislike about my life today? Now, I know this is not exactly motivational, right now. It's like every time I ask people to think about what they don't like about their life, I make a joke. It's like, well, thanks, Brandon. This is really motivational. When do the dancing bears show up? Can't you be more entertaining and make this shorter? Can't this be a TikTok? I hate thinking about myself. No, it's like, no. Hey, sometimes acknowledging and being real about the areas in our life where we are insufficient, where we don't practice our best values, where we don't take care of ourselves, where we are not serving as an example. That honesty can cause a fire in our stomach. Not everybody, but for a lot of people, it causes a fire in our stomach to be more disciplined because we say, I'm better than this. I don't like this way of living, or I don't like this result I'm getting. I'm going to shift. I'm going to change. No longer am I going to allow my life to be this type of mess. No longer am I going to allow myself to be this type of person or a person who takes these types of actions. And I know, don't worry, I'm aware that everything I've said can be frustrating, triggering, upsetting, disappointing, and discouraging. Sometimes the hard truths of life and how we're showing up reveal a lot about who we are, what we'll put up with. But some people, they can look at that. They can be honest. They can look at their behavior and not be in a place of self-hatred. I can acknowledge my behaviors as separate than the value and worth of myself. I can say, hey, these behaviors are not okay. They are not aligned with who I want to be, without going, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm worthless, I should stay in bed all day. No, I can acknowledge my thoughts and my feelings and my behaviors as things that are happening and things that I am doing that are not healthy, but it doesn't mean I'm not okay. It means I need to shift. I need to change those things to honor my higher self. And when I see day after day after day of something in my life or a practice that I'm doing that I don't like, sometimes facing that day after day after day without beating yourself up, just seeing it, just witnessing it as a third-party observer can put a little fire in your stomach and go, no longer. Because I've always seen people with great discipline, they can remember a time in their life that was a demarcation line where they hit a threshold where it was enough. They were like, no longer will I do this. No longer will I act like that because I want to be a person like this over here. And they have a higher aspiration level. It's almost like their life is like a video game and another level just unlocked for them for some reason. And when it unlocks, they rise to the occasion. They play another level in life. Whatever gets them that unlock. Sometimes it's therapy. Sometimes it's coaching. Sometimes it's a great book. Sometimes it's a daily fire. I don't know what does it for people, but I just hope that you find that on your journey. Don't shame yourself or get mad at yourself if your disciplines aren't right. Instead, just go, is there some way in which I perceive who I am that's holding me back? Maybe I don't think I deserve it. Maybe I can't envision it yet. Maybe I need to spend a few minutes each day mindfully aware of my thoughts and how I'm thinking about myself in the future. Is there someone I can think about who would get me more disciplined because I want to be an example to them? Can I think about my destiny and think about cause and effect? And where do I really want to end up? How healthy and happy and wealthy do I want to be later in my life so that I live in a rich experience? A topic we'll be taking on here in Growth Day soon. Well, why do I allow myself to slip? Is there something I don't like about the day? Is there something that's frustrating? And can I look at those things in my life that I don't like and honor them? Not get mad at myself, not hate myself, but rather say, oh, that's a behavior, that's a thought, that's a change. Those are patterns. I'm going to shift that pattern now because that pattern got this one result. But now I feel bored, or I feel like I plateaued, or I feel in pain. And those patterns don't serve me anymore. Those patterns are causing pain. I need new thoughts, feelings, behaviors, socialization that will lift me to the next level. And you know what? When you make that decision that you are a person who deserves that next level, discipline isn't so hard anymore. I hope you enjoyed this Daily Fire. If you did, could you invite somebody into Growth Day today? Is there somebody you're thinking about? Someone on your team, a friend, family member, somebody you know across the way who just needs a little bit more encouragement, maybe needs to solve some of the major challenges we all face in our life. You know, sometimes those days we feel aimless. We need a little more motivation or direction or life strategies. Those days that we feel like we're sleepwalking through life or living an old life and we're like, I need a little more vibrancy and aliveness and connection and meaning. Well, that's what we do here. That's what we're doing in Growth Day. I promise you, just listening to myself or any of the other teachers here in Growth Day, it is doing the work of neurological reset. It's like helping groove new memory patterns, new actions in your mind. It's setting new types of expectations and energy. And over a period of time, it creates that shift. And I think that's important. It's why I always tell people, my mission is to make self-improvement a way of life. I don't think that there's some destination when one day you are confident 10 out of 10, or you're productive 10 out of 10, or you're perfect 10 out of 10 all the times. It means every day you're attentive to making sure you start off in a good mindset. You journal so you can be self-reflective and gain greater self-awareness, which helps you make better decisions and be happier. You write down your goals so you can stay on track. You make sure that you are doing your planning, setting deadlines and reminders here in Growth Day. And of course, you really care about learning new life strategies from new mentors and other people. Maybe even coming to a live event to meet some people with high standards who really want to succeed. Whatever you choose to do personal growth work every single day. Bust this goodness in your head. Go to the journal right now. Capture some lessons or thoughts you had from today. Literally right now, go into the journal. And what do you think is deeper than discipline? What do you think about your identity? How could you shift or change or improve your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your behaviors so you can stay more disciplined on the things that matter to you to build the destiny that matters to you? Go into the journal. Do it right now because every day is a great day to grow.